What does it do, YouTube? Welcome back to another episode of Scotty Says. I am your host, and this is it. This is the defending Super Bowl champion LA Rams season opening update, plus and also NFL predictions. NFL predictions for the 2022-23 season. It's a lot of 20s. 22-23 season. Yeah, man. So let's get right to it. Now, I hope your summer has been lovely and dandy. Okay? But as August has now turned to September, it gets to be that time of the year when sports really get into full bloom, overdrive. And so what you have is that last month before playoff baseball starts, that pennant race time, and you have kickoff the NFL season, and hey, the NBA is just around the corner. And so right now, after Labor Day, it's the time. And especially considering this season, the defending Super Bowl champion Rams kick off the NFL schedule with a Thursday night bash against what it sounded to me like was unanimously picked Buffalo. Everybody, all the experts, it sounds from what I've heard now, pick Buffalo as the number one team in the NFL and the team that's going to win the Super Bowl, and Buffalo. I mean 100% Buffalo. Buffalo. So Buffalo going to come shuffling in to SoFi. And it will be the Thursday night kickoff. And so that's coming up now. See, we're here. And where we last left off, I hope you have been following along, because really, I have been chronicling the Super Bowl champion drive from off-season to hoisting the Lombardi at SoFi in February. I've been chronicling, and the ride has been magical. It's been crazy. So go back and check last season's episodes. But now here we are, where we last left off, in the glow, the afterglow of that predicted Super Bowl title. The confetti streaming down and me wagging the finger saying, I told you. And I did. I predicted it the year before. And all the way up along the ride, even when it got bumpy, mid-season, the prediction was intact and it came to pass. And you know, if you saw my last episodes after the Super Bowl win, you know what I predicted for this season coming up. And this season this episode will in fact contain my NFL predictions for the season. But the thing about last year's episodes, they were epic. Okay, I'll just say it like that. They were epic, and the Brady game, the old GOAT, that game, Tampa Bay and the Rams in the playoffs, I think that episode was like 90 minutes. Because I went deep. Other episodes, on average might be 55 minutes, the double nickel. But this year, I want to bring that running time down. So I want to contain all that energy and power and all that info, but I want to condense down into the time. So I need to start to be about that mission right now. So let's get right to it, shall we? Where we last left off, the Rams, Super Bowl champions of the world. Okay, fantastic. The off season comes. And I did an episode about the Bobby trees. And see, this is how, because I'll meander off down the road, and the next thing you know, it's 55 minutes. But I did an episode about the off-season Bobby Trees trade they traded him for a Ham Sammy to Tennessee, okay? And I didn't care for it at the time. And just as a follow-up to that, briefly, I heard an episode with the Sneedster, a podcast or an interview somewhere he was, and he said that he got, maybe not so much him, I guess he's more in the bubble, but he said his wife got so much grief from people in town, the neighbors and whatnot, when she would go to the store or wherever. And I mean, apparently, according to this interview I saw with the Sneedster, out of his own mouth, he said it got so bad that his wife came to him and said, Sneedster, I'm unhappy with this, and I don't want to live like this anymore, because the people were all on her about that Bobby Trees trade. They didn't like it either. And I told you I didn't like it. And apparently I wasn't the only one. Rams Nation was like, well, you know, the way they did it. You know what I mean? Because Rams are really, they're known now for the culture, and you know, so that was like anti-culture with Bobby Trees. Anyway, what I noticed and found interesting was that the Sneedster said that he told her, his wife, to tell the people that she saw that it was not her, it was him. Blame him and him alone. And that he, the Sneedster himself, did not want to say he was ruthless, but he said, whenever people start something with, I don't want to say this, but, they're saying it. Okay. He said, I don't want to say I'm ruthless, but he said, I developed calluses in childhood, 11th grade, when he didn't make his school baseball team. He got cut. And he said he got calluses from that and building them. Okay, so I don't know if he, you know, I don't even know how you interpret that. But my point being, the people weren't happy about the way that the Bobby Trees move went down. But where one Bobby left, another Bobby came. And you had to feel excitement when the news hit that Bobby Wagner, was joining the Rams linebacker corps. Like, what? They got B-Wags? So, that is a magnificent upgrade to add a player of that caliber. And I still believe he's got some years and some hitting left to do. And he's not a rental like Space Cowboy Von Miller. Bobby Wagner, has signed a multi-year deal to be wearing horns on his helmet. So that was a hell of a good move. And the Sneedster is, you know, you've got to admit now, he makes some good moves. By and large, on balance. Okay? Now, off season, and this is how I want to break this down. You go back and look at the glow of the Super Bowl championship episodes. We're into the off season. There's the preseason, and then the season opener, and then the prediction. So that's the outline. All right, and we're already through pretty much the off season. 80-99 the Beast got a new deal, $95 million deal. And remember, he was like, oh, you know, I got a ring. Maybe it's time to set him down and think about other things and all of that. And it was like, what? These guys won one ring. What is all of this, you know? He got a $95 million deal, 3 years. And word is out of camp, he's hungry. AD himself says he's hungry, ready to run it forward. Okay? That's the new vernacular. Run it forward. So, all of these things, for the most part, I'll say at least, are pointing up. Yes, we lost Bobby Trees. Yes, the Space Cowboy took the shuttle to Buffalo. But when you get Bobby Wagner, all indications are Allen Robinson is about to be an excellent piece to the puzzle. We will soon see. I sort of feel like I'm not sure what to expect with Allen Robinson. So I'm very curious to see that play out. Overall in the offseason, fairly quiet, except for the old GOAT. There was a lot of noise with the GOAT. You know, he's retired, he's unretired, he's back, he can't come to camp, he only... The way his woman leaving him, the model is leaving. She left the compound. I'm like, left the compound? That's that extra white, super rich stuff when you leave the compound. That's that extra rich stuff when you leave in the compound, you know, with an attitude about something. I mean, and the funny thing about it is, what they say is that she's upset because he wants to keep playing football. Like, lady, get out the compound more. Let the old GOAT do his thing. Somebody gonna break him off sooner or later. You can't do it forever. Let him be. He only have what 1-2 years maybe left to do it. Maybe she's so worried that he'll be hurt, but I don't know. It doesn't seem like that's what she's upset about. But then, hey, I'm just the guy on the couch. Well, I used to be on the couch. I did an episode in which I spoke at length about my concern with QB2. I believe, and I've said this now in previous episodes, I believe that the Wolf is cooked. Okay? I believe he had a purpose, and he served it by providing an out-of-the-blue alternative to the golfer. Just enough to get the whole divorce rolling. Just enough to convince not only McG, but everybody watching that you could take a guy off the street and do just as well, if not better, than the golfer. You could get a guy moonlighting as an accountant named Wolford, who had a dream to play football. You could get him, and he could get you a playoff win is about with the same efficiency as the golfer. Now, I don't want to take anything away from the Wolf because we did episodes about the Wolf. Now, the Wolf brought these specific characteristics. Hungry like the wolf. And it was at a time when the golfer, Goof, was floundering and extremely inconsistent and not playing with winning drive and passion. Almost seemed complacent. They had given him a big contract, which was obviously a mistake. They had to pay dearly to get out from under that contract they gave the Goof, the golfer. The sun rises in the north, he said. Never forget. Now, the Wolf was studious, picked up the nuances. He had enough athleticism to be evasive, effectively evasive. And so he was willing, when the play broke down, instead of throwing a simple-minded interception, he was willing to make a move, plant, cut back, get 3-4 yards on third down, keep the chain moving. Give the punt team a break. And everyone, especially McGenius, knew that the offense had stagnated with the golfer. And the Wolf provided that opportunity, that bridge, to get the golfer the hell out of here. So I give him his credit. However, the Wolf is not the answer. Okay? And clearly now, Dr. Julio, Daddy from the D, that is your QB1, no doubt, no question about it. But he's an older fellow. And it's a rough game. And if he were, worst case scenario, to miss any amount of time, who is QB2? And if you tell me the answer is John Wolford, I say you cuckoo in the head. You got a Ferrari with the Rams, the defending Super Bowl champions, and you are going to let a drunk Mr. Magoo drive it? No, sirree. Listen. If it were not for the fact that I've seen with my own two eyes that the Wolford is cooked, not only that he has regressed in terms of any type of NFL acumen, the Wolf can't stay healthy. Remember now, when he started the playoff game ahead of the golfer. Remember now, before the first quarter ended, the Wolfer was on an ambulance in a stretcher. Remember? Now, this is not the only time we've seen this where the Wolford is escorted to the sideline. The Wolf is not the answer. And I have a theory as to why, if in fact we see QB2 emerge as John Wolford, I have a theory as to why it may be. But it would be a mistake, McWonder. And he's made very few. In fact, that's why he's called McWonder. Look what he's done. And as I have said on many a time in many an episode, in McVay I trust. And sometimes it's a little bit of myopia. Little bit. And when it comes to QB2, you have to be very cautious. Be very cautious, my friend. Because you've got a Ferrari. You do not want a drunken Mr. Magoo driving it. You don't want to scratch on it. Okay? That's the preseason. Of course, the emergence of McCutcheon. What a nice development for a wide receiver who made the squad with spectacular play. Led all receivers in catches and yards in the preseason. So I'm very excited to see, because I don't know what they got with Tutu Atwell. Just saying, me personally. The others who are there and people who have insights that I don't have, they may know. I keep hearing it. It could be. Soon we'll see and everything, and maybe we will. But I have seen with my own two with McCutcheon. Size, stamina, hungry, great hands, got to want to. Okay. The preseason. Stafford's elbow was a story. See? That was a story. And it got spun in a different couple of 3-4 ways. But this is the point I'm making. If something's wrong with Doc Julio's elbow, that's how you throw that thing. That's how you spin it. An elbow. What if while he's in the midst of throwing one of his routine interceptions, he pops that elbow down on the helmet and they have to take him out of there for a game or two? That's what I'm talking about. Bryce Perkins should be QB2. He has shown everything you need to see, Mr. McWonder. He's the guy. He is quantum leaps beyond the Wolford. Bryce Perkins must be. And I said this last season. Go back and check the tape if you don't believe me. I'm telling you. I said it last season. Bryce Perkins must be QB2. And then what happened? When Stafford went out for a couple of plays, they ran Wolford in, and he looked like a drunken Mr. Magoo. When there was a blowout at one point, I believe, and he said, oh, send QB2 in to get some snaps. The man looked like he was still working on Wall Street. Whatever spark he showed in bridging the way out for the golfer, he has regressed terribly. And so Bryce Perkins must be QB2. Mr. McGenius, for the love of all that is holy, don't play around with this one. And we might as well get to it. Now, they say Stafford's elbow's okay. It's not a story. It's a story, but it's not really a story. You know, it's kind of a story, but not really a story. Okay. But I have a theory as to why this deep affection for Wolford. I've seen this more than one occasion in the corporate world. The everyday, regular job world, where people who are in positions to promote or to hire tend to promote and hire people who remind them of them. Now, you take however you want, and call it whatever you want, but I have been on the other end of it, where there was a promotion given because this particular individual could have been the child of this other individual, you know, in terms of how they favored each other. One, the younger, sort of reminds the older, who has the decision-making authority, of their younger self. Something about that person. That could have been my son or daughter. And so, that person has an advantage. And I think that the Wolford reminds McVay of himself. Undersized, people didn't really believe in him. Maybe the talent didn't necessarily leap off the screen, but gritty, tough, smart. A young McGenius, a young wannabe baller who, and in McWonder's case, couldn't get any further, couldn't go any higher as a player. And he sees the Wolford, and he reminds him of him. He wants to help him. But it's too important, McGenius, for emotion like that. I think it's the same thing with Skoranek, hands of stone. I think McGenius sees himself in Skoranek every time. And maybe somehow this year I will be shocked and amazed and surprised at the progression, but I doubt it. Because if you got stony hands, what are you going to do? There's no glove that's going to solve that. Ben Skoranek is hands of stone. And yet, McVay keeps elevating him up the wide receiver depth chart. I think now he's fourth on the depth chart. You got all these wideouts in that room. And hands of stone is your fourth wide receiver? No. Hands of stone should not really see any daylight off special teams. I fear it's the same scenario at play with Funk. J-Funk. That They want to elevate him up the depth chart at running back, and yet, shouldn't he just be on special teams, if that? But I think these three guys, Hands of Stone, J-Funk, and Wolford, remind McGenius of himself. And he loves them in a way that probably is not good for the team. And that's all I'm going to say on that. But get it together, because QB2 is way too important of a position on the squad for emotion to rule. So now enough said about McWonder's proteges. And let's move to the meat of the matter, the subject, the entree. Let's move to the season opener. The season opener. And so now here we are. It's time for the real thing now. The real money. The real ball games that count. The season is about to begin. And the Rams have a killer schedule. They have the most difficult schedule in the NFL. Okay. Now, I'm not going to go through all their games and pick wins and losses, but I will in predictions tell you what I think will ultimately happen in the NFL. And so, who's up first? Why, it's them Buffalo Bills. The anointed ones. The one team that is a consensus lock to win the Super Bowl according to every expert I've heard from. So, I said, okay, here's what's funny. When I predicted at the end of last season who would be in next year's Super Bowl, spoiler alert, I predicted it would be Rams versus Buffalo. So I too, even months ago, predicted Buffalo in the Super Bowl against the Rams coming up in 2023. That's my prediction. So I'm on the same bandwagon with all the experts there, except I am the only one I've heard out of all of them who thinks that it will not be Buffalo that comes away with the dub, with the championship. I think the Rams, and I told you this already last year, will repeat. They will successfully defend their championship. That's my prediction. Scott says, you can come back, check it. We'll talk about it along the way. So I'm not backing down from that prediction. I made an even bolder prediction, but again, let's focus, for the sake of time, on the matter at hand. The Buffalo Bills are 2.5-point favorites over the Rams, the defending champion, LA Rams, at home. So the Rams are underdogs at home by nearly a field goal. That's how much everybody believes in Buffalo. So I'm telling you right now, I'm predicting that the Rams will upset Buffalo at SoFi on Thursday evening. Yeah, man. Let's get to predictions. Predictions for the NFL. And so I'm going to give you my AFC, my NFC, and my Super Bowl prediction. And I can tell you right now that this is for informational and entertainment purposes only. So do not go put your money on any of it unless, if you do and you win, feel free to cash at me and throw me one of these. All right, so in the AFC, these are my predictions. Yeah, man. I think the East, of course, it will be Buffalo out of the East. Out of the North, I'm going with Baltimore, the Baltimore Ravens out of the North. I think in the South, it will be the Colts. The Colts in the South, and in the West, them damn chopping KC guys. I think they'll find a way to hold on to that division. And then in the wild card, and this is where, this This is where it gets a little murkier. You get 3 wild cards. I'm gonna go with Denver and Russ. Let's ride. And the Broncos to get one of the wild cards. Also, Cincinnati Bengals get a wild card. And that 3rd wild card, I'm going to give that to the Titans. I hope that old Bobby Trees plays well this season and gets to do his thing in the playoffs. On the bubble for a wild card in the AFC, I'm going to say the Raiders and the Chargers. I just, I don't know. I don't know about these guys. I usually like the McVay effect, the McG effect, because, and I'm gonna give you a perfect example of that right now. In the NFC, my predictions are as follows. In the East, I'm going with fly, Eagles, fly. But in the North, I think the McG effect will come into play, and I believe the Minnesota Vikings, under protege of McG, Kevin O'Connell, will win the division over Covito and the Green Bay Packers. Yeah, in the South, you got to go with the old GOAT once again, Tampa Bay and the Bucks. And in the West, it is your Super Bowl defending Los Angeles Rams. Now, the wild cards in the West. Covito sneaks in, and you see the McG effect again. Green Bay, since McG protege, LeFleur, since he took over at Green Bay, they go 13-3 every year and make the playoffs. The McG effect. Kevin O'Connell with Minnesota. I think you're going to see the McG effect. And, the only place where I question it is with the Chargers, because Brandon Staley does some curious stuff. So, you want to say maybe the McG effect, but then maybe don't claim that one. But then look at Cincinnati. Out of nowhere, the Bengals, the McG effect. Zach Taylor. All right, so wild cards, the Packers, them damn Niners. I think figure out a way to get one of the wild cards. Yeah, pains me to say it. And the final wild card in the NFC, I'm going to give it to the Cardinals. In the NFC, there's been a lot of noise and negativity and rancor coming out of the camps of these various places. This upheaval in Tampa Bay. Tom Brady trying to go to Miami and bounce Tua out the way and become an owner as soon as he retired. He got the master plan. He probably telling Gisele Bundchen, yo, home girl, I got the master plan. I'm going to be owning one of these bitches. But Gisele is upset about something and had to leave the compound. I see the McG effect all around the NFL. So all of these camps, they've been noisy. The Cardinals camp, all of that. Kyler Murray, I'm scrubbing you off my page, and I don't want to no more selfies with you in front of the building, and I need this. It's just like a lot of, hoorah. And San Francisco, same thing. What you gonna do with Jimmy G? He nobody wants Jimmy G. Okay, well, you could stay, but it's like a little bit of upheaval. Dallas is raggedy. It's just the path seems well defined for the Rams because there's been so much rancor everywhere else. And then you see, old COVID toe. He he's a kooky dude. He's got the witchcraft tattoos and, he drinks the COVID recipes. Listen. This country is teeming with lunatics, okay? And they think they're brilliant. And they may be talented in some manner or the other. Got a screw loose. So, there's upheaval in Green Bay there. Devontae said, let me the hell out of here. You know what I mean? And so, with all that, I'm going to give the Cardinals that final wild card. On the bubble, well, I guess them damn Cowboys. I'm not even sure about that. There's a strong likelihood, in my opinion, that they don't even come nowhere near the playoffs. And hey, who knows? Maybe New Orleans. Maybe they'll be the surprise team. Or could it be Carolina? Oh, Carolina. Anyway, when it's all said and done and the dust has settled, it will be the Bills and the Rams in the Super Bowl in 2023. And the winner will be two-time champion, defending world champion, LA Rams. Those are the real predictions, because they're my predictions. Now, didn't quite compress this down as much as I initially hoped I would, but I did a little better job, I think. And so I am going to wrap this up and shut it down now. But we're going to be back to cover the Rams. This is the kickoff to the season, and we are going to chronicle the team as we did last year. So please, if you haven't already, subscribe. Throw me one of these. And leave me a comment. Let me know what you think. Do you think I'm on the money? You disagree? Tell me what you're thinking. Until the next time, my folks, one love.